He's a benchmark for all good things that come with a long snapper. He spent 4 years at UCLA running things at that position, taking all the drama out of it all because he was so good. He embodied consistency, and he is with us on Locked On Bruins. Johnny Den Bleyker joining us on the show. Johnny, how are you doing?
I'm doing really good. Thank you for asking. How about yourself?
Doing pretty good, even better that you are on the program right now. And of course, I'm Bryan Fenley, the host, and we have had a chance to get to know Johnny over the last couple of years, following him and interviewing him on UCLA's campus before games, having him on the Bruin Insider show. And it's such a fascinating position that you held, Johnny, for those 4 years, in that a lot of people think they know football, but they don't know what goes into being a long snapper. What are the misperceptions of being a long snapper that you hear from people that are misinformed, or maybe they're just haters?
Right. So a few actually come to mind just right off the bat. One of them being the fact that long snapping, I genuinely believe, is a skill that anybody can pick up, but it's a skill nonetheless that it takes 1,000 hours to actually pick up and become a master at. It's something that you have to commit to, and it's a discipline in itself. So I think that, the idea that, long snapping is easy is not necessarily the case as it is. It's a commitment to something. And another
Oh, sorry. Go for it.
thing,
Sorry. Go for it. Yeah. Go for it.
yeah, of course. Another thing that really comes to mind is the idea of, as a long snapper, not really being hit or knocked around on the field. And in recent years, there's actually a rule change to where, you can't line up on the long snapper and you can't make direct contact with him. That rule is more of a suggestion to most, and it's actually pretty often that I get knocked around a little bit. So that's something that I definitely think is a misperception when it comes to long snapping.
You also make some big plays. You've had some big fumble recoveries that we're going to talk about in just a bit. Your introduction to being a long snapper, you have to think that your brother, who was a long snapper at Washington State, and usually you think about sibling rivalry and older brothers picking on younger brothers, but he was, what it sounds like, Johnny, the one who introduced you to being a long snapper and helped you along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. My older brother, in my opinion, I don't think that I would be where I am without him. He's served as a role model for me. He's gotten me into long snapping. He started off at fairly early age. I think he started around maybe his second year of high school. And obviously me being younger and seeing what he was doing, I kind of took that role as the younger sibling, and, that notion. So, you always want to be like your older sibling. You want to be like your older brother. And so that's something to me where I think we really connected, was this, we had this passion for long snapping that, he instilled in me. And so for me to get to where I am right now at UCLA and actually in a graduate program here, none of that's possible without him.
I want to ask you about that graduate program because, first of all, you graduated in 3 years and then you had another year of eligibility, so you kept playing. Now you're halfway through your grad program. What's your course load like, and how have you been able to keep it going despite what's going on with coronavirus and having to adapt the way you study?
Right. So with the whole coronavirus situation going on, I'm actually taking advantage of this self-quarantine. Being locked inside, I have a lot more time to really focus on a lot of the research articles, a lot of the books. So I'm actually taking 4 classes right now. And with this grad program, it's a 2-year program that UCLA is now offering. It was done in combination with athletics in the education department in order to find a happy medium between athletics and education. And so the main thing is that they wanted to develop a program to where there's no compromise in both of those things, and you're able to successfully thrive and achieve in both.
I think it was a year ago, so it would have been heading into your senior year. You had your media availability previewing the season, your senior year. And you said on a good day, you stand 5'10". First of all, what is a bad day, and what do you stand when that happens? And you said when you admit that you're 6 feet, you get more girls. Is that recipe working for you?
Yeah, so on a bad day, you roll over, you're a little bit shorter, you don't got the right shoes on. It's just one of those things where, you feel, 3 inches smaller than you really are. Especially with there actually being a big jump in the whole mental process between 5'11" and 6 foot. And so, I like to tell people I'm 6 foot. I'm definitely 6 foot in cleats. I'm 6 foot with a helmet and shoulder pads on. So that's kind of my little white lie. And yeah, I would be lying if I said I haven't told some girls that I'm 6 foot. So there's definitely that.
So Johnny, Johnny Den Bleyker is joining us, Bruin long snapper, great 4-year career in Westwood. People on these dating profiles, all the apps, they sometimes fudge their numbers. And I've heard horror stories of somebody saying that they thought so-and-so was this height and they were a lot shorter. So are you one of those that when they put the bio, they say 6 feet? And if you're a man of your words, maybe you are 6 feet and maybe you show up to the date with cleats on.
So I got to be careful with it. Obviously, being who I am and being a part of UCLA athletics, I have a profile that obviously says that, I'm 5'10", 5'11", whatever it says. So I got to be careful with, what I put out there. So I like to say that I'm 6 foot and kind of like passing conversation. So that's kind of like I said, my little go-to white lie. So.
It is not a lie that you have a serious interest in chess. And the story came out, I think it was almost a year ago, that Chip Kelly had brought upon teachers for chess, had made that part of the off-season curriculum for you guys. Tactically, perhaps it refines your mental strength. And guys, some players really did take a keen interest in it. You were one of those. Why?
Yeah, so I like to think of chess and football as almost being one and the same with how it gets you to think ahead. Obviously, in chess, you're trying to plan strategic moves ahead of time, set up traps, and find where you can take advantage with football. Whether that comes from an offensive, defensive, or special teams perspective, you're always trying to find, hey, where can I set something up to where I can really strike and take advantage in this game? And, with chess and Poison Pawn, that's the company that really started working with us, to have, that influence really come in and to have the players really take advantage of that. It's something I think that, makes UCLA football really different, and to where we're trying to combine all these different things and learn these transferable skills.
Would Chip ever undergo a competition on the chess game? Would he ever, I know he's a busy guy, but would he ever get involved with that and take one of his players on?
I'm pretty sure I've seen him play against either Chase Griffin or Dorian. I've never had the opportunity to play against him, but I would absolutely love it.
I wonder if, okay, so Chip, if you're listening, you've got another person you could go up against. I'm wondering from Chase or Dorian if they would admit to losing, or are they telling everybody that they beat Coach? I'm curious to know.
You might hear it from Chase. You'll never hear it from Dorian. No, Dorian either won or the game didn't happen.
I love it. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, obviously the quarterback for UCLA. And let's go back to your career a little bit, because you had some highlights all across the board. I think that one of your biggest might be at USC, had the big fumble recovery. And then you were able to, which I find probably the most satisfying, is being able to put a hit on a USC guy. You called that play wild, having that opportunity. For all of us who want to live vicariously through you as part of Bruin Nation that don't get that opportunity to go on the football field and deliver a hit, a big blow to a USC player, what is that like?
Yeah, so for me, that was something that was more like it was like a dream sequence almost. It's something that that's something a UCLA football player, a person that just goes to UCLA in general, to where they can prove that, hey, we're really going to stick it to SC to do something along those lines. And that's something that was really special to me. And obviously, leading up to these games, we're watching games, we see these pictures of Anthony Barr making a hit on the quarterback floating around. There's one of Osa Odigizua of recent years who's standing over the quarterback. And so you try and really leave your print on that game and that whole series. That's something that every UCLA player strives for, and really trying to get that win, make their mark.
Johnny Den Bleyker, Bruin long snapper, is with us on Locked On Bruins. And Johnny, I feel like you also made your presence known in that Fresno State game, which you promised your mom that you would do something to honor her for her birthday leading up to that game. And not only are you a man of your words, but you probably made her very happy with what you did on the field that day.
Right. So having it be my mom's birthday and having her make the trip all the way from the Bay Area down, her and my father, they drive to pretty much every UCLA home game. She came to me, I want to say maybe 3 hours before the game. We met a little bit, and she had asked me, "Hey, just do something special. Make it a birthday gift to me." And obviously, with her leaving it open ended, I'm scrambling a little bit on the field. I don't know what really I can do. And Stephen Flintoff, the punter at the time, he hit a great ball, and the returner had a problem with fielding it. Uh, he had called for a fair catch, but he muffed the return, and the ball came out. And I just had the opportunity.
You also had the opportunity against Stanford, and you coming up with the fumble recovery. Give us a play-by-play of how that came about.
Right. So that one's actually a little bit different than the other two, which that was more of a team effort when it came to getting that ball back. Going into Stanford week, we figured that they would end up having some kind of guy on me in coverage. And so as a long snapper, it's a great compliment. And so what really happened in that game was I got picked up very early on in coverage. And with that happening, guys like Colin Samuel, Mo Osling, they were able to get down there on our coverage team and really get in front of the returner. And that's something where, as a returner, if you see movement in front of you as the ball's coming in, you can kind of, get in their head a little bit. It can really mess with someone. So fortunately, the returner bobbed with the ball, and as I was looping back around, me and Ethan Ferneo were right next to it. So we got into a little bit of a wrestling match trying to get on the ground and get that ball out as it squirted through the returner's legs. And fortunately, I came out on top. That's something that I joke around a little bit with Ethan, but it was just an amazing opportunity, and it was the start to something that was really special. Recovering a fumble for 3 years in a row.
When you're like wrestling for a loose ball, are guys yelling and screaming? What are they saying? I mean, is it just full on just brute force, or do you hear guys yelling stuff and just getting animated, getting after that football?
So it's not a blissful silence. It's one of the most panicked and heart beating moments, but you kind of like tune everything out, and so it's almost completely quiet. You can feel yourself getting beat up, and it goes on more often than not. Guys will try and do something in the pile to make you loosen your grip. So I didn't have too many hands or feet reaching in and kicking, trying to punch the ball out or anything. So it wasn't too bad.
Yeah. 2017, final game of the season, you and the Bruins had a field goal to win the game against Cal, get yourself into a bowl game. It was a 37-yard field goal. It was a seamless job on your part, and then J.J. Molset knocks it through. There was a moment where I could see you hugging J.J. What did you tell him? Because that was certainly had to be one of the highlights of your career.
I don't think I really told him anything. I'm pretty sure I was just yelling in his ear the entire time with JJ.
You just yelling, just
yelling nonsense. I mean, and in moments like that, you just kind of let emotion and everything kind of take over. And so, I think everybody at that point was just yelling, running to hug JJ.
So there was that. And then you had the opportunity to play with, obviously, Stephen Flintoff as the punter for a lot of years. And then Wade Lease, your senior year, who was 31 years old. And I'm sure he got a lot of heat for being that old. He's my age, and he definitely likes the attention, I feel like. And he's a whole lot of fun. You guys certainly had a lot of fun joking around. What was that experience like, having him on the team and being a part of what he was doing?
So in my mind, Wade's kind of like a twofold guy, where you're getting this older man coming in. He's very experienced. He's dedicated to what he does in his work. But at the same time, you're getting 31-year-old, 32-year-old Wade, and then you'll get 16-year-old Wade, where he's the biggest little kid on the field, and he has the most fun doing what he does. And to be doing what he does, coming from a different country and the age he is, and having that much fun, it's actually pretty inspirational. To work with somebody who finds so much joy in something where he can be scrutinized, or actually he is scrutinized a lot. A lot of Australian punters are, but to see how much fun he has with it, it's something that's really special.
Has he given you an insight on obviously the Australian pipeline that is punting? But like you said, there's a lot of pressure. There is seemingly a movement, and a lot of Australian kids are getting that opportunity. But that's quite the operation or business and getting those guys to the United States and playing. Has he given you an insight on what that's all like? Because that's really a story in itself.
Yeah, there's a group out there. I believe it's Pro Kick.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really established out there, and they do a great job of developing their guys and getting them ready to, showcase in front of, college coaches, NFL coaches. We talk about it a little bit, but it's more about his experiences that we, share with each other. And so we don't really dive too much into that whole world.
A world that I do want to dive into is how you were able to adjust so seemingly effortlessly when having different special teams coordinators coming in, and you did not seem very frazzled by this. What would you attribute that to?
Right. So, believe it or not, with having 3 different special teams coordinators at UCLA, I've actually been very fortunate to have, 3 different coaches with Sage, Manning, and Coach Scott White, of having 3 coaches who are just, genuinely ready to listen to their players and, make adjustments based upon their feedback. There's been times in game where I've said, hey, we should, let me, stay in and block this guy, or, hey, I'm getting a free release. Can I do this? Or, I can go and help the guard get off his man by picking. And so by having these coordinators who are just willing to listen to their players and their feedback, because coaches can only see so much from the sideline, they can only see so much from up in the box. Having these guys really listen to their players and put their faith in these guys, I think that's something coaches in general and just, believe in that style of coaching. It's a really awesome thing to have, and I've been really fortunate to have that at UCLA.
How's J.J. Molson doing? We're all certainly fans of his and what he did at UCLA, and he certainly has the skill set for the next level. What have been your interactions with him since the end of last season, and how he's getting ready for the NFL?
Right. So when season ended for JJ, it wasn't really an end at all. It was something that, he was looking forward to the next step. JJ never really stops in his pursuit of work. And I've really been working with Wade and Andrew Stroud and trying to help facilitate, their pro days. And every single time, JJ always beats us to the field. He's there. He's worked out already. He's gotten his kicks in. And we actually have these narrow uprights that we ordered specifically for our kickers. And he's working on those all the time and really trying to, get the little things down. I think that's something that he does in his preparators today.
That's absolutely fantastic. I love that. And then want to go back before your college days to the U.S. Army All-American game. And that must have been quite the experience for you, being around guys that were probably a lot bigger, would you say, maybe?
Yeah, so that was kind of the real eye-opening experience at the Army game. Even when it comes to playing schools like Texas A&M and all that, Army All-American game. It was an experience I think really got me ready for college football. I mainly hung out with the specialists there. Those are people I've known previously from camps. And that being said, all the specialists were still bigger than me. You had guys like Drew Chrisman, who's at Ohio State. He's like 6'5". You have John Shannon, who's 6'2", 225. He's the long snapper over at Notre Dame. Skylar Southam, who was the kicker at BYU, now at Utah. I think he was a recruit as a safety, about 6'2", probably about 215. And so I was still kind of the smallest guy there. But it was a really humbling experience. And I think that's a really important part of my process in getting ready for college football, was being able to participate in that game with people of that caliber.
One more thing I wanted to ask you, because of your ability to adapt so well to the college game, was the mental side of things. Because you think about a pressuresome situation, you were put in several of those, and that's kind of what your position is all about. And being able to handle that with tact and composure and poise, how did you do that?
Right. So it's kind of the mindset of all specialists, is that you really want to just kind of turn your mind off and trust your body and really rely on your muscle memory. And so that comes with this whole idea of, it takes 10,000 hours to become a master. It's the same thing that goes with specialists. They got to put in the amount of time and the correct amount of reps in order to develop a quality amount of work over a long period. So you can get to the point where you can just tell your mind to shut up and really trust your body.
Trust J.J. Molson's body because of what he did on the field. Also trust his mind. He's a very smart guy. 4.0 GPA is on the regular for this guy, and he has huge aspirations as he finishes out his master's degree. He's still helping out people in football. He wants to be a teacher. He wants to be a coach. He is an all-around great guy, and we're so glad to have Johnny Den Bleyker on the show. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, no problem. Honestly, it was, a great way to kind of take my mind off of the state of things right now. I think a lot of shows like this are, trying to do their best and keep everybody's minds on sports and some of the things that we love in day-to-day life. And to come on the show, it's honestly an honor.
Oh, stop it. You're an honor. You make this show an honor because of your presence and your insight. It's not about me. It's about the awesome Bruins that we get on this show. And yeah, people are starving for sports content. We're looking for anything. And this is a great way, great escape for people. We've had some great guests on like yourself, and we're going to continue this. And I hope this is not the only time we have you on. We'd love to check in with you later on and especially get your take on, I think next time, here's a tease for you. I want to get your take on what the Bruins are going to look like next season. You've had a chance to speak with a lot of the guys, and so that's what we're going to do next time we have Johnny Den Bleyker on, is get his assessment on the team moving forward. And hopefully by then we'll have more of an idea of when we're going to have sports back. But until then, great to be graced by the presence of a legend in himself and Johnny Den Bleyker, man who just put his hard hat on, went to work, did a great job. And you've always said, Johnny, that the best compliment at your position is when nobody says anything.
Absolutely. I've done my job right if I go unnoticed. So, if nobody says anything to me after a game, then I've done it right.
You might be unnoticed in that respect, but we want to notice you by bringing you on the show for this. Johnny Den Bleyker, thanks again for coming on, and let's do this again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you.